Hi guys, we are picking up with chapter 8 today in Wish. Okay, we left off with her praying and asking for Wishbone to please come back. So here's chapter 8. On Saturday, Howard was going to help me look for Wishbone, but I had to go shopping with Bertha first. I haven't been to Asheville in ages, she said, getting behind the wheel of Gus's old car. It started with a rumble, setting puffs of black smoke drifting out of the tailpipe and floating over the yard. As we wound our way down the mountain and onto the highway, Bertha chattered non-stop. She told me about the time she and Gus went camping and a baby bear got into their cooler and stole all their hot dogs. "Can you believe that?" she said. "A bear eating hot dogs." She talked about how much she hated snakes and how when a tiny brown gardener snake got in the house. Once, she stayed with her friend Jonelle for nearly a week until Gus swore on the Bible that it was gone. And she could hardly stop talking long enough to tell me about the time some guy named Arthur Kruger lost his false teeth at the church picnic. "I didn't even want to think about where he lost those teeth or where they would turn up," she said. "I didn't eat any more potato salad after that, that's for sure." Finally, I figured I would have to interrupt her, so I did. "But what about you and my mama?" I asked. "What do you mean?" "Tell me something about y'all." "Well, okay, let's see." And I waited and I watched her face, seeing her searching for just the right thing to tell me. "Well, when I was about 10, she said, so let's see, your mama would have been about 7, we spent the whole summer making yarn friendship bracelets so we could sell them. And we could buy fish for an aquarium that our uncle gave us." Yarn bracelets? I wondered how come my mama never showed me how to make yarn bracelets. "Then," Bertha went on, "this mean boy who lived across the street from us threw every one of those bracelets up into the hickory nut tree in our front yard, way up in the branches so we couldn't get them down. Isn't that so mean?" "Well, what'd y'all do?" "Well, that's why I'm telling this story, because it's so like Carla, my sister. She stomped over to that boy, and she bit him on the hand so hard he hollered like she'd cut his hand off with a butcher knife. Then he ran home crying, and she was screaming at him. That girl had some kind of temper, I'll tell you." And I thought, a temper? My mama? Maybe I didn't get my temper from Scrappy after all. Maybe I got my temper from my mama. I hesitated for a bit and then just decided to go for it. "How come y'all stopped seeing each other?" I asked, hoping maybe this time she'd give me a better answer than she had before. Bertha just stared out at the road ahead. "Well, you know, when we got to be teenagers, we were just so busy with this and that and the other thing, and she dropped out of high school, and the next thing I knew, she was hightailing it to Raleigh." "But how come y'all never see each other now?" I asked. Bertha pressed her lips together and shot me a look out of the corner of her eye. "It's complicated," she said. "Kind of complicated, Charlie." So there it was again, a very not good answer to my question. So we just drove on in silence until we got to Asheville. At the mall, I couldn't help but think about Jackie. She and I used to spend all day at the mall. Wandering from store to store, trying on different clothes and crop tops and mini skirts that we were never allowed to actually buy or take home. We'd pick out our favorite earrings that we would buy if our ears were pierced. We would spritz some fancy perfume on each other from the samples over at the cosmetics counter. So Bertha said, "Let's go to Sears and look for Sunday school dresses." So we shopped all morning, and by the time we were headed back to Colby, I had 2 new dresses and a lavender cardigan sweater. Bertha thought one of these dresses might be a little too short for church, but she let me get it anyway. When we got home, Howard was sitting in a lawn chair by the garden watching Gus do some repairs on the fence. "Hey there," Bertha called. Howard walked his up and down walk over to the car as I was getting my shopping bags out of the back seat. "Hey," he said to Bertha. Then he turned to me and said, "I drew us a map." "What for?" "To help us look for Wishbone." He took a piece of folded up notebook paper out of his pocket and showed me. "I figured we could mark the places we would look, and it would help us keep track." "Okay." I shrugged. Bertha reached for the shopping bags. I'll take those inside, she said. Then me and Howard headed off towards the road, peering into the tangled shrubs, squinting into the dark woods all along the way. Howard thought we should check the path where we had seen the dog yesterday. I bet he hangs out there a lot. Maybe. I pushed some tall weeds aside, and I jumped over the shallow ditch that ran along the edge of the road. But Gus said he's liable to be anywhere, I added. We looked and looked, climbing over fallen trees and pushing through prickly vines. But after a while, we were hot and tired and hadn't seen one single sign of Wishbone. So Howard whipped out his map and a little stubby pencil and marked off all the places we'd looked. But we decided to call it a day. The next day, I marched into Sunday school in my new dress and plopped down right next to Audrey Mitchell. I said, "Hey." She acted like I was invisible. I guess she forgot I was part of this church family. First, we had to play that Bible detective game again. And Howard, of course, added to his collection of Bible bucks. I couldn't get over all the stuff he knew about the Bible. He knew Moses' brother's name and how many times a day ravens brought food to Elijah. And Audrey waved her hand almost as much as Howard did, jangling her little bracelets going, I know. After that, Miss Mackey told us we were going to decorate the bulletin board in the fellowship hall, and it was going to be called Our Garden of Blessings. We'll be making a garden of flowers to show our many blessings, she said. And then she explained that we would make construction paper flowers and write one of our many blessings on each one. I confess, I wasn't too clear exactly what that meant, but I followed everybody else, and I got some colored paper and some glue and scissors. And I worked real slow, hoping I could see what somebody else was doing first and copy. Sure enough, Audrey finished her flower first. It was a big yellow daisy. Then she used a blue crayon to write on one of the petals. My family, she wrote as her blessing. My stomach squeezed up, and my face felt hot, and I put my hands in my lap so nobody could see him shaking. That yellow daisy laid there on the table in front of me, reminding me that I did not belong here. Letting me know that even though I was here in church, in my new church dress, I didn't have a blessing. May I be excused? I asked my teacher, but I didn't even wait for her to answer me. I hurried out of that room and I went outside into the parking lot. But before I had time to start feeling sorry for myself, something good happened. I saw a red bird, a big, bright cardinal, on the telephone line across the street. I closed my eyes, turned 3 times, and made my wish. So for today's short little writing piece, I'm going to ask you to tell me why you think Charlie reacted that way. They asked her to write a blessing. The one girl wrote down her family, and that kind of made Charlie get very uncomfortable. So if you want, you can do a 4 square. You can make the event at the top be the Sunday school, the flowers for bulletin board, and you can just give me how you know she's feeling by what she thinks, what she says, and what she does. And then tell me why you think it really upset her. Tell me why you think that made her so upset that she left her class and went outside into the parking lot. That's a very important piece to our story. All right, I will see you guys for chapter 9.